In response to question one, I definitely feel like consumer contracts remind me of when you're shopping at the mall and you see all these sale signs outside of retails, and it's like a big 50% off, but like in very, very small letters, it says up to. And that's just a way for them to kind of get you in the store, and then once you're checking out and you're like, hey, this is supposed to be 50% off, and it's like, no, it's up to 50% off. That's kind of how they attract people in. I think consumer contracts are the same way, so it's very important to read into the fine print of them. For credit cards in particular, this is something that a lot of Americans suffer from, and that's credit card debt. So it's important that when someone is opening a credit card for the first time, or they're looking into opening multiple accounts, that they're reading all of the important information. So what your APR is, if there's going to be a late fee, if there's going to be a cashback fee, if there's going to be an annual fee. With credit cards, it's not just like, hey, here's your card, go crazy. You're going to have a spending limit. And then, like I said, I listed like 4 different fees right now, and I don't even think that's all of them. So there's a lot that comes with owning a credit card that I feel like a lot of people skip over, and they don't realize, how much interest can occur and how much debt you can really be in from credit cards. Credit cards and homes aren't the only type of contracts that we should be looking at. I mean, there's contracts that we've signed that we are constantly using every day. If you have a cell phone, you probably at one point signed a contract. I know for me, I have a gym membership as well that I signed a contract for. I actually recently tried getting out of my gym membership because it's COVID, I don't feel comfortable going, and a lot of people don't wear masks there, and I actually wasn't able to because the gym is open and operating, and because of that, I still have to make monthly payments. And I guess when I signed up at the time of service, I wasn't aware of it, but it was on the paper that I signed, is that I have to have the pass for a full year, and if I choose to opt out of it, then I have to pay like $300 to $400, so at that point, it's just not even worth it. I think the biggest takeaway is that when it comes to terms and conditions and contracts, like realistically, like as consumers, we don't read word for word, because sometimes those contracts can be like 10 plus pages and they're in the smallest fine print. But I just think it's important to be aware of the most important factors of that contract, because the last thing that you want to be put is in a position where it's like, hey, this is what you signed up for, without even knowing that's what you signed. In response to question 2, one of the more important topics for me was about debt and bankruptcy. This is because I'm going to be coming out of college pretty heavily in debt. I paid for 5 years of college through loans, which definitely adds up. So I'm more this topic kind of made me more concerned about how I'm going to pay them back, how much should my monthly payments be, how long it's going to take me to pay them back. I think it's very disheartening to know that a lot of Americans are also in debt like me. It's comforting for myself, because I feel like I'm not, quote unquote, on a bad track in a sense. It's pretty common. But this just creates a whole different conversation about tuition cost, and things like that. Credit card debt is something that's super important. I personally only have one credit card because I need to be more financially responsible, and I don't want to be put in a position where I have thousands of dollars in debt for credit cards, because I know that can accumulate, and that's something that a lot of Americans suffer from. In addition, one of the other things that kind of stuck out to me was when we were doing the consumer issue research project. My topic was about how the women's hygiene industries likes to target women insecurities in order to kind of get them to buy their products. But this is something that's pretty common across the board, not just in the hygiene industry, but others as well. And it's that consumers aren't educated enough to make purchases, so they kind of fall for assumptions and misinformation in order to get them to buy. So for example, within the food industry that's pretty popular, we see something that's labeled as organic or non-GMO, and then we automatically assume that that's a quote-unquote healthy option, but sometimes that always isn't the case. But because it has that label and a lot of consumers are misinformed, we automatically think like, oh, it's healthy, like let me purchase this option instead.